And welcome, friends, one and all, for the final time this season to the Motorsport.ie RTA LMP2 Cup as broadcast by us here in Gantry TV. So, the final round of the season, and it looks like we'll talk about a little bit later on, but Dylan McClemens could be crowned the youngest ever champion of an RTA season tonight. Things going well. We are at the fantastic, beautiful, iconic circuit of Interlagos here in Sao Paulo in Brazil, our third continent, I think, that we've been to over the course of this season. Last week we were in Atlanta at the Road Atlanta track for an absolutely action incident packed round with plenty of rain. This time, roasting weather, 35 degrees, as we see some drivers already struggling with the weather conditions. It's 20 degrees air temperature, 35-degree track temperature here in the largest city in Brazil. And as ever, I am joined by my good friend, Evan Dalton. Evan, last round of the season. It's been a long season. It's been a grueling season for some of these drivers with the changes of the LMP2 car, making it very difficult to drive. Last week we saw a bit of carnage, so I suppose we're hoping that we might have a little bit of a more relaxed round to finish off the season.
Yes, hi Kevin. It has been a long season. Can agree with you, and I think some of the drivers will. We started in Portugal, we finished in a Portuguese-speaking country, and we've had a little bit of everything in between. Last week was a weird one. I think it's safe to say around Road Atlanta we had a little bit of everything. Once again, it seems, but the sun is out. It's nice and dry. It should be a bit more relaxed here in Brazil.
Yeah, hopefully indeed at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace opened in opened in 1940, but didn't start hosting Formula One racing since 1972. Obviously, the scene of some famous championship finishes in Formula One. I think is that Glock is probably the most famous one. Felipe Massa being robbed of a world championship title right at the end in his home country. So rather fitting that we finish our own championship here in the very same venue, and a venue that personally I flew over in real life only about 6 weeks ago. So nice to see it in the sim again. It's one of those tracks, Evan, that so popular in years gone by. I think like my memory of it was always with like the Formula One, the first Formula One game on PlayStation 1 that Murray Walker was the commentator. I think that was like 96, 97, well before your time. So for me, it's always a track that's held a very special place in my heart because it was almost like the first track I got introduced to motorsport on. But it's kind of changed in the last couple of years in terms of its popularity, and I don't know, does it hold that same kind of iconic feeling amongst a younger generation? I suppose you're like, what do you think of when you think of Interlagos?
I always think of a great race. I always think of a really good Formula One race because there hasn't been a overly bad one in quite some time around Brazil. There's always been that little bit of drama, it seems. Um, I always think of sort of Red Bull being very successful around here, whether it be 2012 when they're winning titles, whether it be 2018, 19 when they're competing for wins. And I always think of good overtaking, good battling. Certainly on the simulator, it's an interesting one for single-seater cars to battle. I can't say I've ever commentated around LMP2s here, so it's a totally new experience for me, but hopefully provides us with some good entertainment. I think the passionate Brazilian fans also give it that little bit of historicness, certainly come up race weekend, on the Formula One weekend, which it's absolutely well known for. It's definitely an F1 track historically. Um, so, you know, I'm positive coming into this evening. Certainly not negative, and hopefully it can live up to everything we just said.
Well, we have two drivers sporting the Ferrari red, which is always very popular around here. One of them just having an incident there coming through up the hill. But yeah, I know it's not a big favorite of yours. It's a hypercar livery being run in LMP2, a bit strange.
Yeah, hate
But
it.
yeah, but yeah, I suppose like last week we had Dylan really taking control of this championship. Only 15 drivers in the grid. And I suppose right at the end, having a good hard battle with Jason Smith, who ultimately spun out in T1. Jason's down there in P3. Interestingly, he doesn't grid up tonight, but for Ronan Doherty, still an outside chance of potentially pipping his DDR teammate to the championship.
Yes, potentially. Things could get very messy in the team DDR camp. Obviously, these standings don't include the drop round, which will be calculated afterwards. Our estimations, which are done by me, so they're probably not the most reliable thing in the world, is about 28 points between Dylan McClements and Ronan Doherty with the drop round. Jason Smith, of course, as Kevin said, not here this evening, so he won't play much of a part in that. Brandon McCaughlin then in fourth, not in the championship battle, but looking to just confirm fourth place ahead of Rory O'Shea and Sean McClements. Then Peter McCann down in seventh position. He just needs a confidence booster this week after what was a disastrous road Atlanta. Kevin Joyce then in eighth, just 3 points ahead of Logan Hoy in ninth. And then Jordan Kelly down in 10th, of course, who we have been missing from time to time this season. Dylan, comfortable in one way, I suppose, Kevin, but he's not going to get too ahead of himself.
No, I suppose it would take an absolute disaster with 3 point scoring races, and Dylan being one of the quicker drivers on the grid for him to miss out. The only way I can imagine that he would miss out is if he had an accident right on the first race. And I don't know. I just think that it would really take something for him to be out of the picture this evening. I think that he has been a really, really strong candidate all the way through the season. I really honestly think that he just definitely deserves the championship. He's shown that maturity all through the championship, particularly again last week we saw other fellas losing the head and some how would we say silly maybe driving. I don't know what the right term is, but Dylan just keeping a level head all the way through and picking up points, and like won his first race last week battling Jason, but up to this point he's just been a really good poster boy of kind of consistency all the way through the season, and just goes to show you that by staying consistent and staying out of trouble, you don't have to be cross the line first. You just need to make sure that you're not cross the line last.
Yeah, Dylan's first win since round 7 of last season, so an entire season winless, but he was still comfortably in the championship lead, which goes to show his consistency, his maturity, amongst other things, and kept himself out of trouble. Has had moments where he's been in trouble this season, but has recovered nicely. He is fourth in qualifying so far. It is his championship rival and teammate Ronan Doherty who is top of the order ahead of Rory O'Shea in second, Kevin Joyce in third, and it's Dylan McClements ahead of Sean McClements. Robbie Callaghan returns. He's currently in sixth. David Prunty in seventh. No further lap times here on the order. But Doherty is going quickest in sector 2, 3, and 4. So I imagine this is going to be an improvement across the line. Pulls all the way over to the pit lane and crosses the checker. Dylan McClements has actually just gone quickest, but Doherty immediately beats that. 1:25.6.
Yeah, Ronan and Dylan, of course, having busy weeks of it. Obviously, competing last week at Road Atlanta, and then hopping into a car together with Sean and Jordan Kelly to take on Daytona 24. That was the big special event, of course, that is firmly in the rearview mirror for many. They actually started the race last, made it all the way up to P3, and eventually finished P5. So from last position, a very good showing from the lads representing RTA. So yeah, teammates previously, now turning rivals this weekend. It'll be interesting to see how Ronan approaches this with Dylan.
Yeah, Daytona 24 last weekend. Just two quick things about that. One, Jordan Kelly can never make a joke at Gantry TV ever again. His live stream was shambolic. It kept freezing. Two, Kevin, do you want to tell the audience just how close we were to greatness? Or you, I should say.
Well, yeah. Me and Jack really. Previously of this parish. Very, very frustrating. We started out P4, made our way up to P1, stayed stayed out of trouble in the wets. I had a double stint, and one of our teammates, Calvin, had a mega double stint. And we were leading by 2 laps, and then I woke up and we were leading by 1 lap, and then I got taken out by a lapped P2 through the kink, and that put us down to P4, P5. We battled back, and Jack was superb. I had a double stint. Another one of the guys in the car, Kevin, had a double stint, and we were P2 with about 2 laps on P3 when Jack came round the corner of T1, and he. I'd love to have this on stream to show you, but essentially what happened was Jack came around the corner of T1 at Daytona. Another LMP2 spun out on the exit of T1, and the car started to roll back across the track. But instead of holding his brakes, this guy just let the car do whatever it wanted, rolled straight into the path of Jack, who had absolutely no chance of avoiding him, totally wrecked our car, and we ended up in P5. So it was one of those races where you have these races where you make mistakes yourself. You have races where you have technical issues and difficulties. And then you just have races where you just got to throw your hands up and say, we did everything we could, but like we were just, you're always going to have idiots that you drive with, unfortunately. And we just ended up being caught up in some of the incidents with those. So unfortunately, our race taken away from us. But very, very strong start to the season for us. And my first special event since Sebring last year. And really, I thought, like, I've had my own injury issues with back problems and etc., which really I actually completely kind of chalked off even competing in Daytona. I didn't think I'd be even fit to drive until Sebring, but it was a really enjoyable event and kicks us off nicely into next year. So Wildfire still accepting drivers if people want to do endurance racing. If you're interested, you want to run with us, then I'm going to give us a bit of a quick plug, because I know RTA kind of half do it from time to time, but they're not really massively organized. So we're a little bit more endurance focused. So you can run the RTA leagues and then do the special events with us.
Yeah, there's a real a lesson of life in that story, and it's don't be an LMP2 driver in Daytona. We don't like you. Kevin Joyce improves to seventh, just ahead of Peter McCann, who you can see on your screen there in eighth. Ronan Doherty's still top of the order with that 25.6. Dylan McClemens has got a tenth of a second closer to it. He is now on a 25.7, but hasn't beaten it. Brandon McCaughton there in third, with Rory O'Shea in fourth. Into the pits goes Kevin Joyce. Robbie Callahan then in fifth position. Logan Hoy in sixth, of Kevin Joyce in seventh. Then it's Peter McCann, Sean McClemens, Tony Stack, and Simon Hutchings. Simon in 11th last week. His biggest points haul of the season. Picked up a sixth place finish and a fifth place finish in Road Atlanta. So I suppose you could say Kevin Simon, one of the drivers who really capitalised on last week's madness.
Absolutely. And we were talking about that last week, that it's an option. Like, it's great for him to be able to, and other people down, maybe further down the standings, with absolutely no disrespect to Simon, but it is just the way the standings work out. Maybe those drivers who don't have the top line speed of the likes of Ronan and Dylan and McGaughan are basically as mere mortals. But it's a great opportunity for them to capitalize. And oftentimes you find that in the league, like if you'll start off in the first couple of rounds and it can be disheartening because there's huge grids and you're off the pace, and you just find yourself kind of wondering, like, am I a bit out of my depth here? But then as you go through the league, and I don't only speak from personal experience, I know Simon has run an RTA a good bit, so he knows where he is. But when you've joined a new league and you're new to league racing, but if you stick with it and you keep getting those results, and you can actually find yourself competing in, like, going for a top 5 place. And a lot of leagues now, they're kind of giving out prizes for P1 down to P5. So you can actually get yourself in for a spot for an outside prize, because you're just ticking away, you're consistent, you're turning up every week, and you're kind of getting points all the time. So great opportunity for guys like Simon Hutchins. And in fairness to Simon, like, toddler there, like, he has a lot going on in his life, but he turns up every week, he makes sure he takes the time out for it. And great to see him reaping the rewards last week. And again, only 16 in the grid tonight. Great opportunity for him here again, and he's starting P12. Like, P8 is not that far away. You know, if you work your way up over the first two races and you get it down into that P8 position for the feature race, all of a sudden you're starting on pole, and then you have a really good opportunity to get yourself some serious points. So still plenty to play for here. We might be talking that it's not hugely tight at the top, but for guys like Simon that are a little bit further down the standings, these races present a massive opportunity to really make some serious gains towards the end of the season.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. And we've seen a lot of that this season. We've seen a lot of drivers elevate their performance. Kevin Joyce being one of them. He was 29th in the standings last season, which is not great, let's put it like that. 8th this season, and of course picking up that race win and a podium. I found out something interesting about Kevin Joyce as well recently. He used to live in Singapore, so I believe. And that's a fun trivia fact, I suppose, about Kevin Joyce. He's currently sits 7th in qualifying, just behind Logan Hoy, just ahead of Peter McCann. So that could be a very intriguing scrap come the end of the race. Let's just put it like that. 12 minutes on the clock out of the 15. Still Ronan Doherty top of the order. It's not looking like there's many who can beat his lap. Not a lot of purple sectors across the board. It seems like a 25-6 unbeatable for now.
Yeah, and Ronan's doing everything he can. Like, he's kind of in a position similar to it's to Massa, actually, going back along, and that, like, really the race is out of his hands, or the championship is out of his hands at his point. If it's up to Dylan, whether Dylan gets caught up in instance, really Ronan can finish top in all three races, but if Dylan finishes in the podium spots, then it's not going to make a massive amount of difference. He's doing everything he can, and he's been really superb the last couple of races since I've gone back commentating, really. In the last couple of rounds, since I've been back to the championship, Ronan's just been a really consistently strong performer, and again, another quicker lap there. So he's definitely getting to grips with this Interlagos circuit. A lot of these guys will have a lot of experience, as I said, down through. It's featured in racing games for the last 20 or 30 years. So it's a great opportunity for the guys who maybe have a little bit more experience in the sims to put that to use on a track that's a lot newer. Thanks to Jordan Kelly as well. We were speaking of him earlier. We do miss him on the grid tonight. Trying to defend his stream, but yeah, I saw a bit of it, Evan. I think you're right. Like, I mean, in fairness, he needs to get his act together there big time, doesn't he?
To be fair, I clicked on it at, I think it was about 5 o'clock Saturday evening, and it said they were 27 minutes into the race. I clicked on it at about 1 in the morning. They were still 27 minutes into the race. That's all I say. You wouldn't get it on Gantry. Yeah, no more about that. Ronan Doherty did improve his lap time, but I don't think anyone else is going to get close to that. Top 4 now all heading through the pit lane. Robbie Callahan in 5th position. Here comes Peter McCann. He is finding time. It's not enough for pole position, certainly, but might be able to jump up the order back ahead of Sean McClements, maybe pip Kevin Joyce as well. Currently sits on a 26.5, did a 26.6 last time round. Here comes Peter McCann. Yes, is an improvement. Does get ahead of Logan Hoy, so that's 6th position for Peter. That will give him a lot of confidence heading into the race. Can Hoy potentially take that back off him, though? Would need to find just under a 10th of a second. Here comes Logan Hoy up to the start-finish line. Is he going to jump McCann? Doesn't look like it, no. Not going to improve. So McCann wins that little battle.
Yeah, really nicely shaping up now for this evening. A lot of guys very, very closely separated as we finish qualifying here for the opening heat of the final round of the Motorsport.ie RTA LMP2 Cup here at Interlagos in Sao Paulo in Brazil. I'll leave you go through the order. Evan, you can see us into the opening heat, but certainly one that promises lots of instant hope.
Yes, Ronan Doherty, quickest of the bunch, and takes another pole position this season. Dylan McClements in second, ahead of Brandon McCaughton in the third, and it is Rory O'Shea, Robbie Callahan, Peter McCann, Logan Hoy, Kevin Joyce, Sean McClements, and Dermot Toomey. Then it is Simon Hutchings, ahead of Tony Stack, TJ Taff, who returns after a race suspension in round 7, Jamal Gandor, then in 14th, ahead of Philip Upson, and David Prunty in 16th position. Look, it's the championship 2. 1 and 2 on the grid. No complaints from me.
No, and it will be, as I said, these guys are teammates. They raced in Daytona recently together, but how much respect will they give each other. Ronan's obviously a previous multiple time winner at RTA. He knows exactly what it takes to win this championship. Dylan, first time ever, really being in a position to win a championship. Very, very interested to see. I imagine he'll be very nervous. He'll be thinking about this most of the week. He did some trial runs in Mondello and the minis, I think, on the sim earlier this week as well. So he's had a busy week of it, has Sean, or has Dylan, should I say. So great opportunity for him now to really, as we said, give his, it's this kind of win and the ability to close out a championship can work towards real life as well, which is obviously something that Dylan has aspirations to. If you do want to comment on YouTube, if you do want to join us, if you do want to put yourself up for a potential slagging, but we do promise we're nice, only not to Jordan, then you can subscribe to us, Gantry TV. Do give us a like as well. It just helps push this series out to more eyes. We know the racing's great. We like to think the broadcasting is great. So we just want to make sure that more people enjoy what we see in front of us. So Evan, before we go racing for the first time this evening, your predictions?
Dylan McClement's champion.
Solid. I'm going to go with the same thing. I'm also going to say Logan Hoey 4X, and I won't say any more than that.
Sorry, say that again, Kevin?
No, I already said it.
No. My laptop lagged.
Oh, we have a spinner in the background. Looks like Simon Hutchins. After all our talk earlier about him, the Welshman seems to have had an issue. I suppose we'll go back and look at that in a bit, because are we starting to go green? We'll go green up around the.
Oh, he's gone again.
He's gone again, Simon Hutchins. I wanted to see if wheel damage. Oh, that's very
disastrous. I tell you what, we have had a couple of moments before the racing has actually got underway tonight. TJ Taft's already been reported for a qualifying incident as well. So 2 drivers are having poor evenings before we've even got to the start-finish line. We had a bit of formation lap drama last week in Road Atlanta. That was of a slightly different nature. It seems like that's going to carry on here this evening. But Ronan Doherty in the orange, Dylan McClements in the purple and white. Doherty will now control the pace as the safety truck is heading into the pit lane. So Doherty needs to time this right to get the jump in towards turn number 1. Doesn't want to be under too much pressure. Now heads in towards the divot of turn 15, and we go racing here in Brazil for the season finale of RTA's Motorsport.ie LMP2 Cup. Dylan McClements under pressure from Brandon McCaughan. Rory O'Shea getting all sorts of sideways and trying to pass Brandon McCaughan. That is Robbie Callahan, who has made some slight contact, potentially with Peter McCann. And Callahan, as a matter of fact, has gone round and he's collected a few cars. I think they've all just about got through without damage, but disastrous start for Robbie Callahan.
Yeah, disastrous stuff for Callahan. And there, you're going down through the Senna S's. It's always very, very difficult. As Peter McCann all over the back of Kevin Joyce there as we go down towards another spinner. That's TJ Taft. Oh, his day's got another one. Is that Logan Hoey caught up in that? Yes, it is. Logan Hoey caught up in that in the Ferrari livery. Now he's missing a back wing. TJ Taft caught up an instance there as well. Obviously, he had served a race suspension last week, so this is not the way he'll have wanted to get back racing. As for the leaders, Dylan McClements, I think he kind of let Ronan go there on the opening lap, but he's under pressure from last week's driver of the week, Brandon McGahan. So interesting. Kevin Joyce involved in an incident with Sean McClements, facing the wrong way there through, I think that's turn 14 there. And Peter McCann coming up on him now, that resumption of that rivalry. Plenty to talk about, Evan, but like incidents, I suppose the only thing is our 2 championship leaders managed to avoid everything.
They did. What a hectic opening lap. We said things might get interesting with Taff and McCann. That's now an incident in qualifying and an incident here, but let's see what happens. Peter's gone all on his own there. And, Logan Hoy's driven into him. So that's what's happened there. They actually both had completely unrelated incidents and ended up together. It's a match made in heaven.
It would be great to see maybe later get that from our fantastic race director and overlord, Ronan Hederman. To see, can we get a cockpit angle or a nose view or something from TJ Taft's car? Because he was the last to arrive on the scene. So he probably had a view of everything that was happening on that corner. Very unusual incident though. Let's see, here's TJ Taft. Okay, so that's Logan Hoey in front of him. you can see there in the red Ferrari. So let's just have a look what happened here to Logan. So Logan went, they all went on their own. They all went on their own. And actually, Simon Hutchings, very lucky not to collect TJ as he went through there. You just saw that day glow yellow liveried number. Where is the number? I don't have it on my screen. I shouldn't have gone for the number when I didn't know what it was. The number 37 car. Almost collect him there, but Simon avoiding that. And actually, Simon's doing reasonably well. He's back up to P8 after that incident on the outlap. Be interested to see what happened there afterwards. But plenty of incident. Ronan Doherty still leading, Dylan McClements leading, Brandon McGahan. That's your top three.
Yes, Simon technically only up 3 positions, but he is actually up 8 because, of course, he fell to the back. Jamal Gandor is up 9 spots to start this race, as is David Prunty. So we've had a couple of cars have horrendous starts. We've had a couple who have capitalised fantastically. Jamal Gandor was only about 10 minutes away from an RTA win last week, of course, in Road Atlanta, when he was leading, then had a spin, then took up a bit of Junior B, and, well, a lot more happened after that. But Jamal currently sits in 5th ahead of Kerryman Tony Stack in 6th position. Dylan McClements under a lot of pressure from Brandon McCahan. This is in towards turn number 8, which is a corner that sometimes you can have a dive down the inside. Maybe not in LMP machinery, but in a single-seater it's definitely doable. And of course, we will be coming to this track in next season's F4 Championship, folks. So if you fancy a dive down the inside, make sure to check out RTAVirtualMotorsport.com.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of advertising it. But yes, we could definitely do with more drivers who recklessly dive down the inside of corners. Here is Brandon all over the back of Dylan, and that's definitely not what you want to see if you're Dylan McClements, because Dylan is trying to focus, and that's definitely not what you want to see as a driver behind you that's blinking. For Dylan, he's just trying to stay out of trouble. Like, he just wants to run laps. If everybody could be removed from this race, and for nobody to hit Dylan, that's all he wants. He just wants track space. That's all he wants. So to have Brandon all over his back is not really doing him any favors. But it looks like Brandon's dropped off a little bit now. A bit of a gap between them. 2-second gap between Ronan Doherty and Dylan McClements. But as we said, doesn't matter how well Ronan does in the number 1 car. If Dylan places well in the 3 races, then he's going to have both hands in the championship.
Yes, he just wants really a qualifying session, doesn't he? As Philip Upson is going to lose a position to Peter McCann, heading in towards turn number 6. McCann's going to have to go the long way about this one, and Peter McCann's not had much joy through uphill right-handers in recent weeks, but that's gone a lot better than it did in Road Atlanta. McCann up to 10th position, trying to recover from that spin. Further to see the Dalton on lap number 1.
Another incident there. Just somebody spinning out. That's Dermot Toomey crashing out there. Not sure what happened as he rejoins right in front of TJ Taff. Not sure what happened there. Not too much damage though for Dermot. Didn't lose a rear wing. I wonder, did he get a little tippy tap from the back, or did he lose it all by himself? Simon Hutchins in front of him, and that is Peter McCann. No, it's not. It is Peter McCann behind him, so must have lost it by himself. Oh yeah. So Dermot just carrying too much speed into the corner, being caught out by Simon's braking, and then obviously no ABS in these LMP2s. So your kind of instinct is to apply more pressure to the brake pedal, as we see Philip Upson caught up in an incident. It's going to be overtaken by Kevin Joyce, P11. Your instinct is to apply more pressure to the brake pedal, but then obviously you go beyond the point of no return. All 4 wheels lock up. You're already committed to the turn. The back swaps to the front. But it seemed like for Dermot Toomey, he managed to avoid any major damage, should be able to continue.
Yes, and Dermot goes spinning out of the top 10. Last week in Road Atlanta was his first week of the campaign, finishing in the top 10 in all 3 races, but a repeat is slightly off the card. Still plenty of time to go though, so might be able to recover. And the way this race has gone, anything could really still happen. McCann now ahead of Simon Hutchings. A little bit of a warpath Peter is on, just trying to cut through the field. Clearly has good pace, just a bit of misfortune on the opening lap. His next target then is the fast-starting David Prunty, who of course, as you will remember, is up 9 positions from the race start, just chasing down Tony Stack. Here's the Gantry TV instant replay. Is this what this is what happened on the opening lap, Kevin?
Yeah, all coming together. Now, it's, I think Diarmuid Toomey was the big man who lost out in this one. There's Rory O'Shea. Okay, so
Oh.
Rory loses it and spins out, and then behind him on loses. Oh, that's the end of Rory O'Shea's race. That's why we haven't seen him. And then in the background, that's Diarmuid. No, is it Diarmuid Toomey? No, it's not Diarmuid Toomey. It was Robbie Callahan. My apologies, Robbie Callahan in the there. Tricolor car always reminds me of the. I'm trying to remember the correct name of it. Was it the European? Oh, we did a commentary on it. Ronan Hederman might remember. He might be able to point me in the right direction. But it was basically a European championship, and it was raced in LMP2s at Spa, and there was massive death on lap one, going through. Yeah, and I think Alex Dunn? It was somebody very young competing for Ireland who did a double overtake into Le Com, the chicane at the top of the hill. One of the best overtakes I've seen in RTA or in any commentary. So yeah, this car always reminds me of that event. Good event it was too. It's pity it will never really kind of continue because it was a good concept. 2 drivers per country. It was a bit like an A1 GP type thing, but on iRacing. So bring it back and have us as the broadcasters. Anyway,
A1GP, another thing that will probably never continue. That was quite entertaining, which Ireland won one year. I think that's still maybe our proudest motorsport moment. We actually won something, which was quite cool. Here is Robbie Callahan in that European race at Spa that we don't know the name of. He is now attacking Kevin Joyce in towards turn number 1, in towards the Senna S's. And this is the same corner where Robbie Callahan had his incident, of course. But I'm not too sure it was his own fault. There seemed to be a little bit of net code or a little bit of contact or something involved. Kevin Joyce has had a fantastic run through there, though. So Callahan not looking like he's going to be able to make a move. This is the last lap of the race, of course, and Ronan Doherty with a comfortable 3.4 second lead.
Yeah, Ronan's just cruising here, and he's going to probably, I'm trying to think now, we'll have one more lap, perhaps. Yeah, probably more likely. We are on white flag. Thanks, Ronan, our TV director here. So Ronan Doherty, not Ronan Hederman, is leading. I don't think I'd ever be able to say that about Ronan Hederman. And Ronan Doherty about to go around the final turn. And Evan, I'll leave you call this one as he crossed the line.
Yes, it was a pretty easy win in the end for Ronan Doherty. He goes about trying to win this championship the right way, but disappointingly, as he looks in the rear view mirror, it is Dylan McClements who comes home in second. Brandon McCaughan in third, ahead of Sean McClements in fourth. Very good recovery from Sean McClements. We didn't mention the name once in the race, but he is up 5 positions. Kevin Joyce did lose a handful of places on that last lap. Not sure if it was a mistake or just a brilliant overtake. Jamal Gandor comes home in fifth. Very, very impressive finish for Jamal. Might actually be his best of the season, and yes, it is best of the season result there for Jamal Gandor. So very nice indeed. And here it comes the unrealistic Ferrari hypercar livery to come home in 15th.
Yeah, Logan, the last of the finishers, crossing the line there in P15, very flamboyantly as well, I suppose, suitably flamboyantly for the country that we're in. So yeah, Ronan again, very, very solid, yet another race win, but unfortunately, as you said, for him, Dylan McClements finishing second, and taking another giant leap towards the Motorsport.ie LMP2 Cup Round 2. So your standings for the opening race: Ronan Doherty taking from Dylan McClements, Brandon McGaughan, who was last week's driver of the day, of course, taking third place. Sean McClements then in P4, Jamal Gandor with a season best fifth, Tony Stack in sixth, Peter McCann recovering well from that spin in seventh. And actually, all of these drivers having incidents, of course, over the course of the race, but still finishing quite well. Peter McCann in seventh, Simon Hutchings in eighth, of course, had that spin on the formation lap. Then Kevin Joyce, David Prunty, Robbie Callahan, who got that incident in the opening lap. Philip Upson, TJ Taff, Diarmuid Toomey, Logan Hoy finishing the best of the rest, with Rory O'Shea crashing out early on and retiring. If you want to join us in chat, remember you can subscribe to us, Gantry TV. Do give us a like. Just click that thumbs up button. It's a very quick thing to do, and it does help us out enormously to spread the word out there to people who might be interested. Thanks to Kyle Irvin, who's into us. He's looking for the Lidl livery. He says it's pending for the F4. Looking forward to seeing that. I hope that Kyle, while he runs his Lidl livery, will also do a pedal cam with Lidl socks and potentially Lidl trainers as well. That would be something I think we'd all like to see. Hello to Johnny Hollywood as well, getting in touch. Thank you very much, Johnny. Nice to have your company for this evening. And as we head into race 2, you think Dylan was going to win the championship. My prediction of a Logan Hoy 4X has already come to pass.
Oh, that's what you said.
Oh, you didn't actually hear me. I thought
No, I
you
genuinely didn't hear you.
I just thought you were trying to throw me under the bus.
No, I genuinely didn't hear you.
Logan Hoy 4X did come to pass. Any more specific predictions for race 2?
Not a prediction, but Kyle Irvine has actually sent me a photo of a Lidl polo before. So he does actually have the clothes. That's not a lie, but I don't think I'm allowed to mention Lidl after Silverstone with Ronan Hederman. A specific prediction for this one is, I think, going to be a little bit of a resurgence from Rory O'Shea through the field. Usually if he has a bad first race, he kind of recovers through race 2. I think we're going to see a lot more spins, though. Maybe even on this opening lap. It seems like drivers might be struggling a little bit with tyre warm-up of something of the sorts, but it's the same front two that will be taking us to the green flag. It's Ronan Doherty in the race lead and Dylan McClements in second, and now Doherty puts his foot to the floor as the safety truck comes in. Dylan McClements once again dives to the inside line to try and defend Brandon McCaughan. We go racing for the second time tonight here in Brazil. McCaughan much better run this time round, and Sean McClements is going to act like the wingman and puts it free abreast in towards the first corner. This is getting sketchy for the CNRSs, and round goes Brandon McCaughan. Disastrous start for him. He was looking for second place. Sean dove it down the inside to try and defend his brother and his teammate, and that has caused a Brandon McCaughan spin. Heading down towards turn number 4 then on the opening lap, Jamal Gandor has just taken third place.
Oh, that's really good stuff from Jamal Gandor, the 9.6 car. Against Sean McClements. Also listening out was Robbie Callahan, who's now returned to the pits. David Prunty and Simon Hutchings also getting caught up in instance. Logan Hoy now down to P13. Ronan Doherty down to P10, and this could be our championship, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what happened there to the currently second place in the championship, but this could be our championship done and dusted. Ronan Doherty, let's see what happened here. He was leading comfortably going up the hill. Looks like he lost it all by himself.
Yeah, let's have a look here. This, oh my goodness, totally not under pressure. Makes an absolute hames of it heading up the hill, and that is Doherty way down the order. Disastrous start. Dylan McClements now in the race lead, leads by 1.3 seconds. Over an even more surprising thing is Peter McCann. Rory O'Shea is third. Remember I said he likes a little bit of a resurgence? I didn't think it would be the greatest prediction I ever made. He's up to 13th on the opening lap. Now under pressure by Kevin Joyce. Joyce still looking for the inside. TJ Taft tries to sling it round the outside. No car in the world has enough downforce to pull that one off. Here's Sean McClements once again trying to get it done, heading through the Curva del Sol.
This is brilliant stuff from these boys. You didn't ask me for my pre-race prediction, but you're going to call BS on this. But my pre-race prediction was actually a podium for Peter McCann. That was my pre-race. But
I'd say it was, yeah. I
swear to God, because we were talking about how good his pace was and how he was coming up to the grid, and I thought P7, a couple of accidents in front of him, Peter could definitely finish in the top 3. I didn't think he was going to be in second place after 2 laps, but I definitely thought come the end of this race.
Do you want to know my prediction, actually? My prediction actually was that
Ronan Doherty was going to go off. Yeah.
Fair enough, Kevin.
So anyway, TJ Taft trying it around the inside this time, a little bit more realistic a move, I think, but he still didn't manage to make it stick as Kevin Joyce is in P4. So with that Ronan Doherty mistake, it's all changed now because Peter's in second, Rory's in third, Kevin's in fourth. Those 3 names you wouldn't expect to be not anywhere near, but not fighting for a podium position. And while this is all happening, Ronan trying to get back past Kevin Joyce, Dylan is 1.4 seconds down the road and in such a comfortable position. It's a great spot for Dylan now. Ronan, I think, will do enough to keep it interesting going into the final race. I think it might be worthwhile, perhaps, one of our maybe esteemed directors taking out a calculator, have a quick look at the point situation before we go into the final race while we're doing interviews. But maybe not possible. Oh, here's TJ Taft. There is a live murder, ladies and gentlemen. A live murder. Speaking of, we were talking about the traitors this week. You know that people who watch it will know that occasionally the traitors have to murder contestants in plain sight. Well, that was an absolute murder in plain sight there from TJ Taft.
Just can I give you a little bit of a statistical and analytical backing of your so-called prediction, Kevin, in Peter McCann podium? Peter has scored a podium in finale week in the last 3 RTA seasons. If he did it today, it would be his fourth season in a row.
That's outstanding knowledge, Evan Dalton.
Work.
That's outstanding knowledge from you. I don't care about Peter. I mean, it's great for Peter, but like,
I have it written down as well, like printed out, so I can't prove that I have that written. So,
unbelievable.
Fair play to Peter as well, though, because that's an unbelievable race start.
Yeah, unbelievable for Peter. Here's Brandon McCahan. Unfortunately, not such a good race start for him. He was in P2 all over Dylan McClemens, and then saw the brother sticking up for him as a nice outside-inside move. That is butter from Brandon McCahan. That is absolutely sensational from the number 8 car, showing him the outside, dumbing down the inside. Has TJ played for a fool? As TJ's flashing his lights, and we see a blinker there in the background that's near Matumi. That's not something you never really want to see. Trying to put pressure on Brandon, but he's been done there as TJ Taft. That's great driving from Brandon McGahan. Thanks to everyone coming in on the comments. Loads of comments, and we love to see them, to be honest. Keep them coming. Evan EVN, I don't know, is that Evan Walsh? Yeah, thanks very much for joining us. Neville Smith asking about the cold tires, as that's what's called in all these instances. I mean, the track is warm, so it shouldn't take too long for them to get up to speed. And Sean McGoldrick as well, one of the championship contestants, participants this season, getting in touch. So yeah, plenty watching on. If you're enjoying it, do give us a like. Really appreciate the support, because this has actually been less carnagey, but definitely more entertaining racing wise, because there has been some really good racing in this second heat this evening.
Yes, TJ Taft needs to get in contact with Kyle Irvine about the little livery, because he was sent to the shops in towards turn number 1. Logan Hoy now trying to attack Sean McClemens in towards the first corner. The director on Overlord, Ronan Hederman, physically groaned at that last joke. So far, sorry folks, I am trying.
No, I think you're doing outstanding work here, Evan. First of all,
I built up my reputation with that Peter McCann statistic and immediately stripped it down.
And the fact that you were able to remember that joke after about 30 seconds of me waffling on about, you just held it, and then just struck right at the right moment.
I was like a child who had to do errands with his parents, but they promised them they're going to the sweet shop afterwards. That is genuinely what I was like.
Okay, Ronan McCauley has asked Evan, have you ever been to... Wait, no, I actually can't see that because the heart thing. I wish I could see that comment because it's been blocked by my app. What is Logan Hui doing? Oh yeah, he's just gonna... Yeah, that's a good way of creating damage, all right, for yourself and indeed everyone else you're racing against. Going down the inside. Not sure what that's entirely about. But yeah, not a great move. Stewards will have their hands full. I imagine they had a very, very, very busy evening of it, or following morning probably of it, after Road Atlanta. And we've already seen race bans for drivers across the series. Evan, it's a pity to be talking about it because it's a fantastic series and we see some really good racing about it. But having seen what we're seeing, and maybe seeing repeat offenders without picking on any one driver, but we are seeing repeat offenders. Do the stewards have to be more strict with penalties when we go towards the F4 series, or do you think that they're doing best job they can with it.
The stewards are doing a good job. They are doing a good job in penalising the incidents. I think just what we have to do come the F4 championship is up the standard. So, say, what was once a 15-point penalty, make it a 30-point penalty, and that be the standard. Because it's difficult to do that mid-season, because obviously you'll get the driver going, oh, but he only got 15 for the same thing last week, and that puts the stewards in a difficult situation. So if I was in charge of the stewards, which I never will be, I would say just up the presses, just up what the standard penalty is, and in that way you can penalise it a little bit more. On the other side of that, you have drivers who don't really care about the championship. They're here just to have some good racing, and they don't really care about points. As McCann runs a little bit wide, that allows Rory O'Shea sneak his way through heading into the NSs. I think the stewards are doing a good job with what they're doing, but I do agree with you. We have a couple of repeat offenders who may have to get a little bit more of a significant punishment. It's not been awful this evening compared to what we have seen, but we are going back to single seaters, which doesn't really make things a little bit better.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because some drivers by their nature are just more aggressive drivers. As we look at this young, a leading, shining example, and an absolute whippet in the LMP2 car, Dylan McClements, the number 88 machine, on its way to potentially being crowned our championship winner. So that's one end of the spectrum. But then you look at, some drivers are more aggressive by their nature. Like even talking about Jason Smith, who's a superb driver and really, really quick, but by his own admission, just got caught up in a few too many things. Does that make him a bad driver? Not at all. He just drives more on the edge than other drivers, and sometimes that gets him into trouble. But then you look at some moves and you think, like, there isn't, in a million years, you're not going to make that overtake. And like by going in with that much speed, you're obviously just going to trigger the wheels are just going to lock up anyway. So like you're not going to get stopped anyway, even if your man did open up the door for you. So it's a bit of an interesting one. Peter McCann having to go back at Rory O'Shea now as we go down the longest. Interestingly enough, about Interlagos, this is the longest straight, but not the fastest straight on the track. Interestingly enough, that is known as the Scadia del Lago. Sorry, no, it's not Scadia del Lago. It's Reta Opposa, which is just literally known as the opposite straight. But yeah, Peter.
Oh, that's unreal knowledge.
There you go now. And not as good as knowing Peter McCann's last results in the final races the last 4 years, but still, Peter now under pressure from Ronan Doherty. Peter's in a bit of a tricky situation. He's going to have to leave Ronan past him here. I think Ronan has the pace. They're knocking together a little bit. Peter's going to stay in it, though, the Laois native. He's going to stick with it, and good job there from Peter in the 11, showing absolutely no respect to Ronan or his championship credentials. He's just saying, I'm here. I'm in a great position here. I want to chase down Rory O'Shea, and if you want to get past me, you're going to have to do it your own way, sunshine, because I'm not going to give it to you.
Yes, that corner, or that he made the move, and I can translate that one. That's the Pico de Pado, which is the duck spill. So we'll go 1 for 1.
Nice.
The only reason I know that is because of Padua Award, the IndyCar driver, not because I'm fluent in Portuguese, like Kevin clearly is. Here comes Logan Hoy going for the move on Sean McClemens in towards turn number 1. McClemens has the inside line. Hoy is going to try the outside. There's a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact heading in towards the left-hander. Hoy's going to try it around the outside. That's a no-go. Sean defends it very well indeed, and we're getting into the final 3 minutes of this heat, so any moves sort of have to be made now. Hoy will tuck into the slipstream, heading down towards turn number 4 and 5. He's going to have to go for the outside line again. Really wants that inside line. Really, really wants the inside line. Sean McClemens is not going to give it to him, and he will defend the position. That's more of the racing we want. When we talk about incidents, it's definitely not that. That's good, clean, fair fighting.
Yeah, great move. A great battle between those two. Logan, as you said, desperate for the inside. Tried to show a little show and go, as we saw earlier on TJ Taft, but by Brandon McGaughan, of course. But no, that was really well defended by Sean, and a good attacking as well by Logan Hoy. Good stuff from both of them, as Ronan gets a little bit squirrely there on the corner of Cafe, which is, you'd be surprised to know, coffee.
Whoa.
That is some seriously good language knowledge, I know. But Ronan getting a little bit squirrely there and ends up losing the run on Peter McCann, which will allow Peter to hold on to that for the moment. So as we head into the final lap, here's Kevin Joyce defending from Brandon McGahan, and it's like a bad kit clash between these two, with the darker, the kind of more burgundy number 4 car going up against the brighter red of Brandon McGahan in the number 8 car. It's quite funny as well that they're multiples of each other and they're both running the same colored car, but that is probably completely coincidental. Yeah, really nice section here. It's interesting, Interlagos. It's very fast. It's very flowing for the first section, and then the section it gets really tight and technical before it starts to open up again, and you have that high aero cafe corner which leads up to the final straight. So it is kind of an interesting mix. Like, this is really slow speed, really technical section, very annoying, I imagine, to drive. A bit like Fuji's final section. You're kind of going back and in and around yourself.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
kind of never able to get the sort of push out of the corners that you'd like. But it does make for a really nicely mixed up circuit, and it kind of tests your driver's abilities in all facets.
Yeah, I think Fuji's final section, you either love it or you hate it. I despise it. It's awful. But some drivers love it, so whatever floats your boat. Here comes Brandon McConnell looking for the move on Kevin Joyce after a spin in the earlier phase of the race. It was looking unlikely that Brandon McConnell might be able to work his way through the field, but he has. He's now going for 5th place. If he can keep this position and then get one more top 10 finish, he will complete the season having finished every race inside the top 10. Technically, he's finished every RTA race in his career in the top 10, but that's because he's only been here for this season. Sean McClements has had a moment, and he's into the wall. Goodbye, front bumper. That's a big one for Sean. Let's see what happened here on the replay.
Yeah, goodbye, Sean McClements from race 2, I think it's fair to say. Sean coming up against Logan as again. We saw those two battling earlier on in this very same section. And Logan...
Oh, no.
Sean moving across to try and defend against Logan, and Logan not pulling out of that one. The two of them coming together. Yeah, very disappointing one there. But for the other McClemens brother, another great piece of work. And does this make him mathematically? Oh, there's Ronan going for a late move on Peter McCann as Dylan crosses the line, and we'll talk about that in a second. Dylan McClements about to cross the line here, and I think he has one hand, if not two hands, in the championship with this win. We'll have to look at how it all works out mathematically, but Ronan Doherty with a late move there on Peter McCann, but Peter doing fantastically well, and it is indeed a podium finish for Peter McCann in the 11 car. Well done to Rory O'Shea as well, finishing P2. So your top 3, Dylan McClements, Rory O'Shea, Peter McCann, Ronan Doherty, then Brandon McGahan winning that battle of the Reds and eventually crossing ahead of him, followed by Kevin Joy, TJ Taff, Logan Hoy, Diarmuid Toomey, and Jamal Gandor, unfortunately for Jamal, finishing all the way down in P10. But we'll have to see, lads. Does this confirm
Dylan McClements is your Motorsport.ie LMP2 Cup champion? He leads by 32 points now. Going by my maths, which admittedly the joke is that isn't the best, I believe it's 32 points, which makes him RTA's youngest ever champion.
Stick him on the wall of champions. Dylan McClements, you have created RTA history. What an unbelievable drive by McClements all through the season. We'll be able to hopefully have a chat with him very shortly. I don't know, is he 14 now? Is he still 13, Dylan? I think he's 14 now. I think he's 15 now. Sorry, my apologies, because he's still 13 on the race notes. But 15-year-old, it's just incredible when you think about the skill level and the talent we have in this championship. The amount of real world racers, real world racing champions across different disciplines and in different countries, and a 15-year-old has stepped up and has won. What an incredible performance by Dylan McClements, and really looking forward to having a chat with him now.
Yes, obviously we'll get official confirmation of that afterwards. I don't think he's going to get a post-race penalty, considering he's not been in any battles, but Yeah, 32 points for Dylan McClements. Let's run you through the full results because we do have a couple of drivers waiting for interviews. It is Dylan McClements, your race winner. Rory O'Shea recovering to second. Peter McCann in third. Ronan Doherty then in fourth with Brandon McCaughlin. And it is Kevin Joyce, TJ Taff, Logan Hoy ahead of Dermot Toomey, Jamal Gandor. Then it is Tony Stack ahead of Simon Hutchings, Sean McClements, David Prunty, Philip Upson, and Robbie Callahan to round out the order. So, Kevin, who's going to interview the champion then?
I'll leave it up to yourself, Evan.
Well, I'll let you do it, Kevin. Just being a gentleman in that.
Okay. Well, one of us has to do it. Dylan McClements, we spoke to you before. Very level-headed young man. It's been a busy week for you. Daytona, you've been down in Mondello. But I suppose you probably had tonight on the back of your mind. Um, you must be so thrilled about the first two races. And as we talk now, mathematically, I believe we can crown you as the Motorsport.ie LMP2 Cup champion.
Yeah, I mean the first two races I took it handy enough, and I was quite lucky to get the race win there that last race. But I'm just taking it easy, trying to just not get incidents like I've done the past seasons. But since I'm maybe mathematically, won it, I might try go for something near the end. But I'll try not be, like Dave Bummer from like 10 years back.
But I suppose, how did you feel going into tonight's championship? Because you were ahead of Ronan by, I think it was 20 or something points. So it wasn't guaranteed. Were you nervous heading into tonight?
The first lap I was nervous because it was a bit dodgy as the thing behind me, so I don't know how this is going to go on. But you know, I wasn't that worried. I was just trying to be calm about it, and I knew the championship was practically done if I had no incidents or no mistakes.
Just loads of congratulations pouring in for you here on YouTube. Jordan Kelly says congratulations. Neville Smith says good man Dylan, great little pilot. Johnny Hollywood says thank God we have a few years before he's old enough to drive in the Formula V's. Sean McGoldrick coming in as well with his congratulations. A very, very popular winner. I suppose you're the youngest ever winner of an RTA championship. You must be really proud.
Yeah, really proud. I mean, I've been there to a year or so now, and I knew I always had the pace for a championship, but I hadn't always stayed the cleanest. So these past couple of seasons, I've been working on consistency and staying out of trouble. It's worked for me this season, and to be the youngest winner, it's an accomplishment I'll probably not forget.
And just finally, I suppose, look, I know real racing and hopefully Formula V's down the road for you and potentially bigger and better things. Just mentally, I suppose I was talking to Evan about it. Like, how much confidence does this give you being involved in a championship and being able to see it over the line? Um, like, it must give you a huge amount of confidence even going forward to real racing to know that you can be in a position to win a championship and you have the bottle to carry it through.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have the pace, but I don't know, I always had the pace for a win before my first win. Whenever I got my first one, I started winning more. I think it's always the hardest step to get it, and then once you get it, you know what you're doing.
No, Dylan, congratulations. We have to officially crown you later on this evening, but it looks like provisionally you have both hands on the trophy. Massive congratulations, Dylan. Best of luck in the final race. A bit of a victory lap for yourself. But congratulations, our provisional RTA Motorsport .ie LMP2 Cup champion and the youngest ever winner of an RTA championship, Dylan McClements.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, great to hear from Dylan there. Interesting. I don't feel like he had a huge amount of nerves, Evan. It seemed like he was just comfortable knowing that if he kept going about his business, then he would end up with the win tonight.
I think at 15, I panicked walking into shops, let alone winning championships. He's so unbelievably composed that I can't believe it. Well, we've an all-timer front row now, folks. Logan Hoy on pole position, TJ Taff in second, But it's Kevin Joyce in third, Brandon McCaughan in fourth, and it's Ronan Doherty, Peter McCann, who we will hear from after race 3, folks, whether he finishes on the podium or not, so we can have his podium interview then. Then it's Rory O'Shea in 7th, Dylan McClemens in 8th. I'm very interested to see what Dylan's going to do, because that's the first time ever I think he's gone, yeah, I'm going to go for this one. I might do something a little bit silly. Dermot Toomey in 9th, Jamal Gandor in 10th, and it is Tony Stack, Simon Hutchings, Sean McClemens in 13th. Bit of a saga in our virtual paddock between himself and Logan Hoy, but I'll park that one for later. David Prunty in 14th, Philip Upson then in 15th, Robbie Callahan starting in 16th. Now that I'm not going to say championship is over for everyone, but it is certainly for Dylan and Ronan. This could be very interesting, Kevin.
Yeah, if I had one word looking at what we're seeing on our screens in front of us to describe what I think is going to happen in the final race, my one word prediction for the final race is carnage. I mean, it is. It's going to be what is it? What was that? Finton? It's going to be carnage. So
Rob Carnage,
absolute carnage. So yeah, let's see what happens here between these two esteemed gentlemen. One running a Red Bull livery, one running a Ferrari livery. I think there's a meme there about people who run F1 liveries. Let's see if it turns out to
well,
be
actually,
true.
that's a Le Mans livery, Kevin. Sorry.
Oh well,
sorry.
well, yeah,
I'm
but
sorry.
you know what I
I'm
mean.
sorry. I'm really
You know
sorry.
what I mean. It's an F1 team. You know what I mean. It shares a livery with an F1 team. So.
I currently have an exact model of it in my hand that I got for Christmas, and whether I keep this on display might be determined by this race. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt, and let's see what happens. It is Logan Hoy who is on pole position with TJ Chaff in second place, and Logan Hoy leads us away to... Oh, no, he doesn't.
No, he
Slows
doesn't.
down. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Oh, please, everyone.
Jamal
No,
Gandor's gone.
no, it's gone wrong. Jamal Gandor's gone round. And there is 2 cars parked behind him. It's a disastrous start as now we go racing. Oh, that is Jamal again. Sorry. Now we go racing. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. No, it's all gone wrong. It's like the M59 on a Tuesday after a bank holiday. This is a disaster. Logan Hoy still leads.
Oh, okay. Just to take our attentions away from that, it appears that Ronan has given us the race calendar for next season. So this is what you can look forward to next season. I don't know if he's deflecting from the fact that he's desperately trying to deflect away from all of the incidents that we've had. But I think it's fair enough that Evan says, and they're off, quite literally.
Oh, dear.
I don't think anybody could have seen it coming, lads. That's all. Anyway, in amongst that, Dylan is fourth. There's Simon Hutchins again on the grass. It's been a bit of an up and down race for him. Dylan's in P3. Oh my God, who else is gone? TJ's gone. Okay, that's one of our front two. I just think so. We have okay. Let's take Brandon McGahan out of it because he's been a very consistent driver and still has hopes of potentially finishing P2 in the championship. But we have a Dylan McClemens who's already won the championship and has essentially said, "I'm going to send it," and we have Logan Hoy in P1. So can we just remove Brandon from this situation and watch what happens? Because I am so intrigued to see the two of these go at it. He's so far ahead though, Logan. He's had a great start in the number 12 car, and he has certainly, how do I put this diplomatically, manufactured a great position for himself. So it'll be interesting to see whether we get caught up. But Dylan still has a bit of company here in the form of David Prunty with Callahan behind him. It's a bit of a disappointing one for Callahan. Dylan's had some sort of problem there. I'm not sure what happened there, but I was having a quick check at the live time to see what's going on. Peter McCann is out and Ronan Doherty's out. So an incident there between those two. And it seems that Ronan Doherty is out for the final race, which is a very disappointing end to this. given that he's been so good this year. But let's have a look on the Gantry TV instant replay. Here is Peter. His tire is absolutely destroyed. There's a lot of people in Daytona will have seen their tires like this, namely the car that rolled back across circuit and denied us a chance at P2. But Peter also getting caught up in something there. I'd love to see what happened to Ronan though. It must have been an incident between those two. And yeah, it's just it's already been a great race. Oh, there's David Prunty taking the alternative line through the Senna S's, living up to the man himself, if gap car. I think is the famous quote or something like that. It doesn't really matter. The point is send it whenever you possibly can. That's what most sim racers take from that quote. Dave Prunty, though, disappointing one for him because he was running up towards the front of the grid, but now he's further back. Logan Hoy, though, lads, massive gap, 5-second gap. Only he can undo his own work. We have still 16 minutes left of this race, and there's already been so much happen. Evan, try and take over for me because I actually don't really know what's quite going on at the moment.
I think if we ask Logan about that race start, he'd have to repeat an infamous Father Ted quote, and that is, "I've had my fun, and that's all that matters." Logan leads ahead of Brandon McCaughan in second, Robbie Callahan in third, Sean McClemens and Dylan McClemens fourth and fifth, and David Prunty, Dermot Toomey, TJ Taff, Tony Stack and Rory O'Shea. All's quiet in the Western Front now. It was a very, very, very hectic race start. It's quite calmed down, but I think it could kick off once again.
Yeah.
To be fair to Logan Hoy, the race start was questionable, but he does have the fastest lap and he is pulling away from the rest of the field. So credit where some credit is due, I suppose.
When I said he had a great start, I'd only meant it semi-ironically.
Oh no.
Live scenes from the RTA stewarding box. As you say, things have calmed down now. Now would have been the ideal time to have seen the F4 calendar, not in the middle of all of the action that's happening. But as Sean McGoldrick said, Ronan cutting to the F4 calendar in case there are fatalities. I think he was a bit late. I'll be honest with you, Sean. I think he was a bit late. Johnny wants to see the race start again, and I am all here for it. So
Yeah,
maybe we might be able to have
that's a brilliant shout, Johnny Hollywood.
If we can see it from the formation lap, that would be fantastic. The Discord channel. Oh, there's Jamal turning around. I want to see what happened in the build up to that, though, because. So, like,
can we just say best luck to?
What was Ronan Doherty doing there, lads? I'm sorry now, but Ronan Doherty.
Can I just say best luck to Peter McCann to get this into the graphic for the awards for biggest crash of the season? He doesn't have a lot of time to get that done.
Best luck to you for writing this all up on Facebook later on. So Logan went, and then
lads, I'm going to have some journalism moment about this.
He did the same thing that Jason Smith did last time. Then somebody locked up. I think that was Jamal locking up. And then Ronan just decided to yeet himself into the side of Brandon McCaughan, taking the balls of them out. He took out about 6 cars there.
Brandon was still in second after this, I swear. Brandon's still in second. How did he do that?
No,
but now. Sorry, Ronan said that's Taff now. Currently, Brandon's in second. How has he done that?
Because everyone else has yeeted themselves off the track, it appears.
He was in the wall.
What was Ronan doing there? What was Ronan doing though? That's bizarre.
Ronan started the season by screwing over Brandon McCaughan and booting him out of the server. He's ended it by trying to take him out in the formation lap. Look, it's not a great way to end the championship season, really, is it?
It's just so bizarre for Ronan. Like, it's just so out of character for him. Do you know, like, as we were always talking about the usual suspects, but like Ronan's the last person they would put in that list, and yet. I didn't know that he loses or what, but it looked like he. Can we get a gyro cam? Can we get a cockpit cam of? I'd love to see where his wheel position is.
The only excuse I can give maybe to Ronan Doherty is that he's done what Jason Smith did in Imola, and he's headed to the student union for a few before the race because I don't really know what he's done here.
So hang on, so he gets close, and then he just turns. What the hell is Ronan doing?
Neville
Lads,
Smith put in a brilliant comment, Kevin. He said
oh,
Ronan
lads.
90 right over Crest. That's a brilliant comment. Thank you very much, Neville, and thank you to all of you for your participation in the
Oh.
stream chat tonight. It's made this a lot better.
Honestly, Ronan's locked frequencies in my voice that I didn't think I could even achieve. Like I'm so indignant about what he just did. I just can't get over like the wheel position there. It's just so I'm really looking for I'd imagine that the voice chat at the moment is well, maybe at the moment it
I
might have
think they
calmed
heard a
down,
bit
but
of
I'd
it from the
imagine,
start.
apologies to any young ears that were listening to that because all of it was absolutely merited, but
The
not necessarily
ironic
all of it
thing,
was in the spirit of the Ten Commandments.
sorry to jump in there, Kevin. The ironic thing is I don't think we could show our champion that segment, which is rather ironic.
Here he is.
Speaking the devil, he's in 5th place. His brother Sean in front of him now has the fastest lap, 1:26 flat, which is not too far off qualifying pace, to be fair. As wide through turn 1 goes Brandon McCaulin. That's going to allow Robbie Callahan to fly through, and Callahan now up to 2nd place.
Yeah, unbelievable from Robbie Callahan, up 14 places into 2nd place, and he's had a really unfortunate evening up to this point, but certainly making up for lost ground as the number 7 car. And yeah, what a fantastic finish this would be for Robbie Callahan to finish off his championship. And it's always great to finish a championship with a good result. It kind of gives you, it's like the last round of golf. Do you know, it's only or the last match do you play. It's like when you have a break round or you have a week off and you have to sit and stew on a race. You want to sit in a stew on a race that you finish 2nd in, as opposed to one that, I don't know, let's just say, speaking in total hyperlatives or hypotheticals, that you might have turned right immediately into somebody on the race start. Here is Rory O'Shea. He is in P10 at the moment and putting all kinds of pressure on Tony Stack. Rory, great result in the last race, putting him down the grid, but unfortunately caught up in some of those early incidents, obviously, as did most of the rest of the grid. But trying to make his way back at the moment in the high pre-car, Rory, and very, very quick. Certainly showing his pace around this track, but just not quite able to convert that into points.
Yeah, it's been difficult to convert pace into points here tonight, given the way this race has gone. Rory O'Shea going to try it to the outside of Tony Stack. Stack on the inside, O'Shea. Yes, that's a good move from Rory, and very clean battling as well from Tony. Here's a swap for 3rd place. That's Sean McClements getting ahead of Brandon McCaulin. Brandon, without question, I would say, has some form of damage because his pace has plummeted the last few laps. He's 2 seconds a lap slower than Sean McClements, so I would say there was some damage from that Ronan Doherty incident. I mean, he did hit a part of the Interlagos pit wall that hasn't been hit since Kimi Raikkonen's 2016 spin, so it's wasn't the best way to start your race. But Brandon is still on course to complete his top 10 completed season. We have a comment from the man who started it all, Ronan Doherty. He says, "Wasn't my finest hour."
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that, but also, in the spirit of talking about, regulars, as I said, it's really not something we see very often for Ronan. So I'll give him a pass on this one, just purely based on the fact that it's so unusual for him to cause an incident like that. It's
Did he
yeah,
not cause the massive crash at Imola in the Super Formula Lights as well, or was that someone else?
I wasn't there. I
Oh,
know
yeah,
speak
you were in.
if
You were in. I don't
if
know,
I speak
Eritrea or something.
yeah. Balls move from Evan there with Ronan. Potentially needing to potentially interview Ronan in 2 weeks' time, but anyway, we shall see.
He
Rory
won't.
up to 8th, and a great opportunity while we look at this battling going on. Just to remind you of our sponsors for this evening. Their logos up there in the top right-hand corner. Motorsport.ie, a fantastic resource for all things Irish motorsport. We've plenty of super racing, which is going to come up over the course of this year. We're kind of coming out of the off season. Light is starting to get longer. There was a great stretch in the evening if you're from Ireland this evening. So we're hoping that motorsport isn't too far away. And of course, plenty happening abroad as well by Irish drivers. So Ireland's number one, yeah, of course, as Ronan reminds me, Monte Carlo coming up this week. So that is absolutely massive. And we have the real life Daytona 24. Trying to think, is Charlie involved in that?
No, but James Rowe Jr. is.
No, but yes, yeah, James Rowe is involved. So no
Good
doubt
race,
you can
man.
catch up with all of that on Motorsport.ie. It's Ireland's number one website for Irish motorsport news. And of course, Leo, he's kind of known by if you're into Irish motorsport, you know who Leo Nulty is. So no doubt if something happens, Leo will be over it on Motorsport.ie. So do go and check that out after tonight.
Yeah, just to clarify 2 points that I've got totally wrong. Ronan didn't cause the big crash in Imola because he won the race by 16 seconds, and Dylan is only 14 still. So even younger.
You corrected me.
Yeah,
with an
I do
incorrection.
it every week, Kevin. I
It's
correct
just
you with
like,
stuff that's wrong. Get
I
with
know,
it.
but normally you correct me and things are right, or you pull out an unbelievable stat out of your backside. But so yeah,
Look, we're
14.
all allowed moments of misfortune. Ronan Doherty, for example.
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Thanks so much to Geraldine for watching along, and indeed, and it just like the fact that Dylan is 14 makes it even more exceptional. It was already exceptional if he was 15. The fact that he's 14 makes it even more exceptional how well he's doing. And that 88 card, love to see that livery or a screenshot of that livery framed in the McClemens household to mark Dylan's achievement. It's been absolutely a fantastic run, and we do enjoy the carnage, I'm not going to lie, but we absolutely appreciate when a driver is really on his game. And yeah, hopefully this is we've had the likes of Alex Dunn racing in these series, and we've seen what he can do. So there's no reason why Dylan can't go on and do the same thing and potentially become a very, very successful driver in real life as well. So any motorsport scouts out there looking, you need look no further than the RTA Virtual Motorsport Series, because you've got a real talent on your hands here. Here's Rory O'Shea overtaking Dylan, just as I say that, but really for Dylan, his championship is done and dusted. I thought he was going to send it a bit more. I'm a little bit disappointed in the 14-year-old, but I thought he might send it a bit more considering what he was promising us, but I'll give him a free pass given the season that he's had. Logan Hoy still, Ronan on the directing read my mind there. It's still 5.3 second gap, and he's managing this race exceptionally well. I would go as far to say that this is Logan's most impressive performance. Certainly, once the pace truck came in, it's been Logan's most impressive performance.
He might get no points for it, but it's been an impressive drive.
What for causing that lap?
Well, there's 15
I
points coming
don't
at
know.
least. It might be 30 for earlier incidents. I think he impeded Peter McCann on a qualifying lap. But in terms of as the performance goes, this has been really impressive from Logan Hoy. And he's not been the most consistent driver throughout the season when it comes to just pace-wise, but I'm looking at the lap times, the last few laps. He's still only lapping 3/10 off his personal best. It's been really there or thereabouts every time. And look, as I think I said it earlier, credit where credit's due. It's been a great drive. Just on Dylan McClemens, what you were mentioning, Kevin, one thing that always impresses me is how good he is in everything. He doesn't seem to have a bad car. He was really good last season in the Formula Vs, was very good in the Mustangs before, and now he's good in LMP2s. Those are three totally different type of cars, and he's been competing in all three. Given that he hasn't driven as much as a lot of this field, physically because he's younger than them, it's ultra impressive how quickly he has developed.
Yeah, I think it comes down to two things actually, and I'm actually really glad you brought up that point, because it makes a very good point about, I suppose, what makes drivers really exceptional. As you see David Prunty struggling there offline. Is he going to catch it just before he gets to the curb? He does, but he loses a good few places there, does David Prunty. First thing I think is fundamentals. So, it doesn't matter what you drive. If you've good driving fundamentals, you'll make a car work for you, right? Being good on the brakes, understanding the limit of the car, just basic good fundamentals, not crossing over throttle and brake
I have a
application,
story about this when you're finished.
all this kind of stuff. Yeah, so I'll wrap this up because I'm sure your story's great, good.
No, maybe.
The other, but the thing that you can't really teach, which all great drivers have, and it shows because they're able to apply themselves to different cars. Look at Alonso doing very well in LMP1, for example, Formula Junior Series. That's just one example. It's that feel. It's that feeling of where the car is, and you can have all the fundamentals in the world, which will certainly get you to a certain level in cars. But having that touch, having that feel, having that kind of intricate understanding of where a car is and how a track develops and where the tires are at, that's something that is very hard to teach, and it's something that you kind of naturally pick up through experience over time. And it really seems like Dylan is almost overdeveloped compared to, you look at other drivers on this grid that have been driving for so long. Obviously Dylan is a great motorsport heritage, it's a great motorsport family, so in terms of being taught fundamentals, he's in a great household for that. But in terms of developing that touch and that feel and that sensitivity around the car, that's more of a kind of it's semi-natural, semi-experience based. So I think those two things, when you say about how good a young driver Dylan is, uh, it makes sense that he's able to adapt to different cars because he has both of those things, and both of those things are required to be able to adapt quickly to different types of machinery. Now, go ahead, tell your story. Sorry to be blabbering on there.
No, it's okay. I don't think Dylan will mind me saying this, but I was doing karting commentary up the north, and Dylan and his whole family were very welcoming and allowed me to come up and visit them, which I'm very thankful for. Big thanks to all of you who are watching. It was great to see you all. And Sean let me have a go of a simulator. And obviously, I've never played iRacing before. This is still my one and only time doing it. And I was all over the place. After about a half an hour, I'd kind of got into the swing of things, and I was able to complete a lap. Dylan was stood over my shoulder, and he said one sentence to me. I think he said, "Up your brake bias by like 4" or something along those lines. Really, really finicky. I found a second on my next lap. A second. That is how good he is, and it's just little things like that make such a difference. As we're seeing, yeah, Ronan's ruined my story in my ear.
Yeah, no, it's a good point though, because it just goes to show you that
You get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I do. As Logan Hoy crosses the line, and we've been giving him both barrels, and I hope he knows it's all in good spirit because we're here to have fun. And Sean McClement's flashing his lights as P3. But a great result for Logan, in fairness, and finishing the championship by winning the final race is a great result for him. And I think really all of our talk has been about this man, but it's for a very good reason. Dylan McClements crossing the line in 6th position, and just like a certain other young driver who would go on to win 7 world championships, he finishes in 6th position at Interlagos, which is enough to win him his first championship. Motorsport.ie, Gantry TV, RTA LMP2 champion, 14 years of age, Dylan McClements. Take a bow.
Yes, on a night where me and you have waffled our way through this broadcast, we must remember the history and potentially the start of a future great. Dylan McClements is your Motorsport.ie Gantry TV RTA LMP2 champion. And those, I think, Kevin, are well-deserved donuts. Oh, please don't hit Jamal, who's coming through.
Yeah, if he can complete a donut, they will be well-deserved donuts. Yeah, he's struggling a little bit. I think he needs to turn off the TC or maybe knock his
There's
brake
no
bias
future
back
at
a bit.
Drift Masters from him. I think we're fixed.
No. But massively deserved this championship for Dylan McClements. Some guys are quick and some guys are, how would you say, there's an outright pace, but the beauty of this championship is that with the reverse grids, you need to have a good solid head in your shoulders as well. You do need to be able to display racecraft, and Dylan has displayed that in absolute droves, not just in terms of being able to overtake, but also just knowing when to hold off, when not to hold off. There's plenty of times, particularly in the second half of the season, where he could have been more aggressive, going up against the likes of Jason Smith, who he was fighting for the championship for, but he just had the presence of mind to know that it's a marathon, not it's a cliche, but it's true. Like it's you just need to chip away at it little by little, and a fantastic result for Dylan. Um, yeah, as you say, we could be witnessing history here. I mean, as I said before, Alex Dunn, we commented him on before, massively rapid. We're really impressed with him. Now he's driving as a reserve driver in Formula E for McLaren. Potentially could go into F2, all things going well for him. I would love to see the same for Dylan McClements, because not only is he wickedly fast and really mature driver, but also comes across so well in interviews, comes across such a nice, down to earth young fella. And those are the sort of people that you really want to root for. So when people like that win championships, you're just absolutely thrilled for them.
Yes, Noel Dunn, I think, has paid Kevin commission on this broadcast. There's been many an Alex Dunn reference. But let's run you through the results and then we'll have a few interviews. Logan Hoy is your race winner. It is then Robbie Callaghan in second, Sean McClements in third, Brandon McCaughan in fourth, and Rory O'Shea in fifth, Dylan McClements in sixth. And it is TJ Taft, Tony Stack, David Prunty, Dermot Toomey, Philip Upson, Simon Hutchings, Kevin Joyce, Jamal Gandor, and of course there was no real race from Peter McCann or Ronan Doherty. Let's hear from a McClements. It's the other one. It's Sean McClements. He finished in third place after a pretty dramatic end to race number 2. Sean, hello, can you hear me?
Well, how's it going?
I want to ask you quickly about race 2 before we get to your podium in race number 3. Couple of incidents with Logan Hoy, especially a big one heading into turn 1 on the last lap.
Yeah. Had a few incidents throughout the race. Got major damage. So the car is really, really understeery, especially through right-handers. So I was just sort of trying to keep the car on the track, really, to be honest. The last couple of laps, then there was a few settings, and as you would, to be fair now. And then just the last lap, I have no idea what happened. Like in any turn 1, and next thing I know, I'm in a wall, and I don't know.
We won't keep you too long because we know you have to run through the incidents, but you, of course, have been helping Dylan to win this championship. He wins the championship, you finish the season with a podium. You both surely have got to be happy with how tonight has gone.
Oh yeah, no, tonight's it's definitely gone well now, especially the season now. Trying to help Dylan as much as I could. Obviously, he's got a championship. Well, he's now won the championship, but he had a championship possibility of winning, and I didn't. So I just wanted to help him as much as I could, and then to finish the season out with a 4th and a 3rd, I'm happy enough. I think in the last race I got the fastest couple of laps as well in the race. So we're back here in F4, so hopefully it should be a bit nicer to us and see if we can go on better.
You did get the fastest lap, and I'm going to let you go now because I know you have to run to the steward's room to conduct what might be a bit of a lengthy process. But thank you very much, Sean, for joining us nevertheless, and congratulations on the podium.
Cheers, lad. See you again.
Now, this could be a good one, folks. I'm going to hand it over to Kevin Galvin to speak to Logan Hoy.
Logan Hoy, our race 3 winner. Logan, first of all, congratulations on a race 3 win, but just want to take you back to the start of the race. Can you just talk us a little bit through the kind of end of that formation lap?
Yeah, well, there was a gap to the pace car, so I just had to catch up. We were all nicely behind the pace car. The pace car came in. I went when I wanted to go, and then next thing you know, in my mirror, I just see smoke. Everyone going off.
Yeah, it was a really strange one. I don't think you could be blamed for what happened afterwards. It just seems strange that you kind of went and then stopped, because we saw something very similar in Road Atlanta, of course, last week with Ronan Doherty. Look, from there, then like half the grid wiped out behind you. You must have been kind of thinking to yourself, okay, well, this is a really good opportunity now for me to kick on and get a race win.
Yeah, I seen a lot of the quick drivers were gone out of the race or dropped back, so I knew this was, if ever, my chance to get a win in RTA, so I just took it.
Well, I mean, absolutely, with both arms. I mean, you were 5 seconds down the road in the end. Always nice as well. Like, We have a gap week now next week before the next championship. Great to kind of finish on a win. Like it's always nice, isn't it, to kind of finish on a win. Kind of gives you something nice to kind of look back on over the course of a championship that I suppose has been kind of up and down for you.
Yeah, there's been goods and there's been bads, but ending on a win, can't ask for much more really. I'll be aiming to do the same in the F4s around Brazil again.
And just a non-racing, well, a slightly racing adjacent question. Um, the livery has proved a controversial one. I know Evan next to
Oh,
me hasn't been a huge fan of the whole hypercar on an LMP2 livery. Can you give us a little bit of an insight as to where the livery came from, and will we be seeing an F1 livery on an F4 car next season?
I just went on the trading paint, seen the first Ferrari livery, and just put it on the car. Quite simply, yeah.
That's a
yeah,
fair
fair
enough,
enough. Like,
fair enough
I
reason. Yeah.
can't really argue with that. It's annoyed me for all 8 rounds, but I can't really argue with that.
Anyway, Logan, look, congratulations on your final win. I know, as you say, it's been a bit of a good, and a bit of bad. Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be not so good. But look, it's always nice to finish on a race win, and congratulations, and enjoy the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
So that was our race 3 winner, Logan Hoy. I do believe that we have not only one of our great overlord, Ronan is our overlord, but then we have a greater power again above us, Peter McCann, but also a redemption story for Peter, I think, going from ballerina of the week to a podium this week.
Yes, Peter, it's another finale podium for you after what I think you'll admit yourself wasn't an ideal road, Atlanta.
Road Atlanta was very disappointing, and I still haven't figured out what was going on, to be honest. Yeah, I thought I couldn't hold Rory back at all tonight, and when he made the move, I just kind of let him go. But I don't know what it was. Maybe Ronan had some damage or something, but I felt like there was a battle there, and I was able to hold on for third, I think it was, in the second round.
Yeah, overall, what's your thoughts on this season then? Because I think you were one who was quite excited about the prospects of racing in LMP2. I could be wrong with that, but how now, in hindsight, do you think this car is?
Okay, so this car is a very different car than the car we started the season with. That's how I'll put that.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, I loved the car at the start. I felt I was totally in tune with it, and it just that update around round 4, it was still the same car, but there was just something different, and I couldn't get it anymore. I just wasn't fit to get to the pace of the top guys, especially not in the rain. But look, it's been really good. We've had a whole pile of new race winners. Logan took a win tonight. Kevin had a win, and I had a rare win. And Dylan somehow manages to, I'm pretty sure at this point, take a championship with 1 or 2 wins, which is just massive consistency. Like crazy.
Speaking of consistency, last season you finished 7th in the championship. It's looking like it might be 7th in the championship tonight. Could be 6th, depending on how the points are going. Are you happy with that? And next season, are you looking for a little bit more, maybe, or just to keep the same going?
With the grid that's here, Evan, I feel like that's kind of where I am, unless something just clicks with a car or something. I did miss around, and I don't like missing rounds, but I was away with work, so I will have a 0 drop, but I like to have the option of having a bad round rather than a 0. So, yeah, good to see where I land after all this.
Peter, I believe you're staying with us for an extended bit of time, are you?
I'll hold on for a couple of minutes anyway. I know the boys are deep in incidents and stuff, and we'll.
Grand. I'm going to let Kevin ask some form of long-winded question then.
Okay. I don't do short questions, so it's just as well. Peter, I suppose, look, you were talking there about Dylan's consistency. Like, yeah, pretty much confirmed now he's the Motorsport.ie RTA LMP2 Cup champion. At 14 years of age, like we've had, and I know Evan keeps slagging me off for mentioning Alex Dunn, but it's a great example of a young driver who competed in a series like this and went on and has had, already an exceptional real life career. And when we talk about trying to bring through young talent, in Irish motorsport, the RTA is obviously the premier sim league in the country. Um, and these new guys are growing up with sims from an early age. Um, Dylan is just a great example of somebody who could be like another talent coming out of this country.
Can you repeat that, Kevin? No, look,
Long ago.
absolutely. Look, we've watched Dylan appear here and join the B series, like most other drivers do. Very little come in as 3 or 4 or 5,000 IR guys. He came in, he won the Bs almost instantly. Everything just started to click with him, and what we've seen is not just the consistency in his racing, but he's fast in everything, no matter what we put up, be it Vs, the LMP2s, GT1s, even. Like there's been everything to challenge him, and he's always been right up there all the way along. It's a bit mad, and to see when you mentioned the likes of Alex Dunn and stuff, I know he's chasing scholarships and stuff for next season, and if he doesn't get it, he does deserve it very soon. In reality, as well.
Yeah, because I mean, it's great to see the likes of those talents coming through RTA. I mean, there's nothing that makes you prouder as somebody who's very heavily than to see talent like that going through RTA and hopefully going on and having like a very distinguished racing career of their own.
Yeah, and we want to see more of it as well. Anybody that thinking of joining or anything, it is the best league in Ireland, and you're coming up against all national and international champions here. We have the best sim races in the country as well. Not to leave ourselves out, not that I'm one, but there's loads of guys there that are racing right at the top, and just it's an awesome place to build your talent in the sim even before you ever start racing, or just to keep yourself honed while you're off season or not racing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's. I mean, even commentating on it for gives us such enjoyment. I suppose some of the enjoyment comes from watching the likes of Dylan do his thing. Some, quite frankly, of my enjoyment comes from watching some of the ridiculousness that happens. I particularly rode Atlanta last week. We saw some of the incidents this week. Um, it's a difficult one for you guys because stewards are there and you're trying to hand out instance where you can. What did you think of the overall standard this year and going forward to the F4s? Is there anything that you'll be looking out for, particularly when it comes to driving standards?
I felt like this season was pretty good. We had a couple of Larry passes that went wrong and stuff. I don't know. I think it's kind of the nature of the car. It can be hard to make a pass in these cars, and you have to kind of just absolutely commit, especially when you're near the pointy end of this grid. No one seems to make mistakes, and to make a pass, like say Ronan with me this evening, he has to like absolutely send it and hope he can make it stick. Like, but if you just like you have to be waiting for mistakes really. So that's where we see most of the incidents we've had. Maybe one tonight from a race start procedure. We'll have to see how that goes. I'm not privy to it, and incidents are ongoing as we speak. So we'll have to see where that ends up. But look, it's been really clean for the cars that they are, and the pace that they carry on every track, and the weather we've seen. Like Road Atlanta was just a misery last week to drive around for me anyway. I know Dylan said earlier on to me he loved it, but yeah, I don't.
Well, I think it's yeah. I don't think you need to be a genius to know that you didn't enjoy that track. Now, Peter, in fairness, but even in fairness, like there is a great camaraderie there. I know you guys are going to have the awards night later on. What can people expect who are involved in the league from the awards night?
Well, we have the old faithfuls like biggest mug, biggest crash. Oh, I'm not going to read them all out. I will give you a couple, like, because we won't hear it on the stream, but most improved driver. There's a few votes, but the most of the votes from the field went to Kevin Joyce, taking his first win this season and just overall improving to a great degree. up that grid.
And it's
Um,
great as well because I suppose, there's so many leagues where it's like you're either quick, or if you come in as a, speaking from experience, you come in as a 1.5k driver, you're not going to win the league, you're never going to challenge for podiums. So it's great that there's, like I would say Kevin is a much faster driver than I am, but for the likes of guys who mightn't necessarily be, the 5k, the 4k, the 5k drivers, they're still their work and their hard work is still acknowledged, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Everyone is a friend in RTA. Like it's a great place we meet up. Everyone starts getting online at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening, and it's a laugh. And even during the races, even though they're very, very serious, like we never really stop chatting. To be honest with you, there might be a few guys that are a bit quieter or whatever when they get into a situation where they're really battling, but it's just a big family here, and it's awesome to see.
And I suppose going forward now, 2025, RTA. I suppose first of all, obviously F4 is in 2 weeks' time. Like that's going to be an entirely different type of racing. With the open wheels, I noticed that you like to flick back between sports car and open wheel. Um, and I suppose going forward, then like you'll all be meeting up in Mondello over the course of the year, but have you any big plans for any particular events or anything particular that you'd really like to get back to doing this year, or something that new that you'd like to introduce for 2025?
We have a couple of things in the pipeline. There's even one regarding a real life drive that we're trying to figure out how to make work. So that's out there in the longer term, I suppose, for this year. We do want to, with it being January now and everything, get back and look at doing the endurance series again. I know Ronan loved that last year, even though he kind of lost it at the bitter end. But yeah, we're always thinking of stuff we can manage.
Yeah, you can sign me up for the endurance anyway, because I absolutely love endurance racing. And seeing what you did last year, I didn't get into it because I was away, but really liked the way that you had it put together. So definitely one for people to keep an eye out of. From Are we joined? I'm trying to figure out where I am now here. Are we? We're hoping to be joined soon enough by Dylan. I think he's taken all the much deserved plaudits for that. But look, I suppose Peter, just before we let you go, like
I do have one more question for
uh,
Peter. If I can.
yeah, so look, Evan, you go ahead. So you ask Peter the final question. We get Dylan
Yeah,
in. Then we
sorry
can
about that,
comment.
Kevin. I just have a question that I think Peter would like as well. Obviously, there was a bit of an emotional ending to Spa-Francorchamps for you, Peter. You got your first race win of the season in a livery that means quite a lot to you and to others in the sim racing community. Just reflecting on that a few weeks on, how do you feel?
I think it's awesome. I'm now very, very good friends with Eric's grandson, and he's always watching on and thinks it's awesome that wherever we go, be it RTA or official races or whatever, seeing Eric's cars racing on, and especially when we get them on podiums and get them race wins, it's something special for him, and it's just cool to be able to do that.
Peter, thank you very much. We're going to let you go now and get ready for a fabulous awards night. I think we don't quite have a fancy hotel booked for it, but should be good nonetheless. And I think, Kevin, we are going to be joined by Dylan McClements once again for an official championship interview.
Yeah, and Evan, I think given you were so kind to let me have a chat with Dylan in the middle after the middle race, I'll leave you take this one away. But needless to say, a history maker, Dylan McClements, joins Evan now.
Yes, Dylan, I think when we spoke to you earlier, the realization was hadn't quite hit just yet. Has it hit now? And have you become aware of what you've done?
I mean, I've become aware of what I've done, but I don't think it's hit yet. I think it more hit last week because I knew it was, if I drove simple enough this week, it was pretty much done. And I've done it, and I don't know, it hasn't hit yet.
Is there a spot picked out for a race 3 winners trophy from Road Atlanta yet?
Nope.
Yeah, fair enough. That's understandable. To become the youngest champion, then was that always a goal for you, or was it just to get one over the line whenever you could?
Just to get one over the line, I've always there was, in the V's last season, I was leading it for a while, and then the last two races, I think I got quite unlucky and lost it. But I think a championship's always been coming my way, but I've just had to learn that bit more to try and take one. It's took quite a while, but yeah, it's a really big achievement for me, and hopefully I can grab a couple more.
Your approach this season has always been, and certainly anytime you spoke to us, you've reiterated this: long run, consistency, good championship points. For someone as young as you, how have you developed such a strong mindset that no matter what happens in a race, you always fall back on that approach?
So yeah, I don't know. I always try to think not about the negative. Like, see if I get to go out in a race, I would just focus on like what can I do in the next race, to make back. And I think it was in the Fords a while ago. I had good pace, I grabbed a couple of poles, but I wasn't in the top 10 of the standings, and that's when I kind of realized I'm trying too much. I think I've sent a couple good moves I shouldn't have. I've certainly learned a lot on RTA. It's the top level, like, and to win the championships is it's something different and not just a race win.
One final question for you before myself and Kevin run through the final points order. How do you plan on celebrating?
Uh, I don't really know.
The legal answer, I should say.
Uh, I don't know, maybe a couple of cookies and sweets or something, but no.
Good man.
Practice for next season.
Dylan, I think, knows the parents are watching. Dylan, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations. I can't congratulate you enough. What you've done is phenomenal, and I know Kevin reiterates that greatly.
Thank you very much.
Now, Kevin, we have time to run through the final points orders, which, folks, you can check out for yourself after the stream on rtavirtualmotorsport.com, as well as all the race results. 548 points for Dylan McClements, the only man in the 500s. He is the champion. Ronan Doherty in second, 489 points. Interestingly enough, three more than Dylan got last season when Dylan finished second. Jason Smith then in third, obviously didn't race tonight, so on 440. And then Brandon McCotton in fourth. Unfortunate to miss out on Pippin Jason Smith there, I think, Kevin. And without that damage in race 3, might have done so.
Yeah, and I think Brandon. Look, Brandon's a well-established driver at this point, but yeah, I think he can really harbour ambitions next year at pushing on and potentially going for a championship win. The F4s are going to be really interesting as well. As we say, they're very different cars to the LMP2, so they'll suit some drivers more than others. Expect to see the likes of Jordan Kelly, who we'll talk about in a second, much further up the standings once he's around more often. And yeah, just it's going to make for a really interesting series. But yeah, for Brandon McGahan, it's been a really good series for him. I know the 30 penalty points as well has cost him big time. So I suppose trying to stay out of those incidents as much as he can would help his championship, but certainly something to build on for Brandon McGahan this year.
Yes, definitely something to build on, and steps towards his real racing career as well. Kevin, I think for 8 rounds, we're just about done. Oh no, we've one more thing to do quickly before we go. We have to pick a driver today.
Yeah, driver today. It's really difficult. I mean, uh,
yeah, it is quite difficult for this week,
it
actually.
is kind of difficult for this week to try and find somebody who's been really outstanding. I know people are going to think it's memes, but Logan was really impressive in that final race, and did really well. But I suppose everything else before that kind of counts against him. I'm going to give it to Peter because I think Peter ran
Yeah,
some
I can
very
agree
good
with that,
races,
actually.
and I actually think Peter did really well tonight. And getting a podium in a car that he struggled with, as his by his own admission, since the mid-season break, was a great result. And yeah, I think that's a fair enough one. That would be my nomination. Would be Peter McCann.
Yeah, I actually really agree with that. His pace was really impressive tonight, and picked up some strong results. Was unfortunate in the last race, was nothing to do with his fault. So for the podium and for the good pace after a shocker in Road Atlanta, as he admits himself, that is a well-earned driver of the day. Next season, of course, folks, starts in 2 weeks' time. We start on the 4th of February at this very track. We then head to Donington, the Red Bull Ring, Road America, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada, Silverstone, the Nürburgring, and then to Spa-Francorchamps. You can sign up, of course, on rtavirtualmotorsport.com. A big thanks to Motorsport.ie, as always, for their sponsorship. I've thoroughly enjoyed being alongside you, Kevin. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, just like Formula 4 just said it there. Like, you'll have Jordan Kelly back, Dylan coming off a high. Sean has been really strong. You've Ronan Doherty as well. Jason Smith's going to be in and around there. So, like, it's going to be a really, really, really strong championship. There's a lot of really very strong contenders for it. We'll see who enters over the next couple of weeks as well. We might have some outside names as well who might be able to join us and put a bit of pressure on our regulars. It's been absolutely fantastic. A pleasure to come back to. I've really missed it, and as well being alongside yourself and Ronan. We've had a lot of fun. If you haven't seen last week's broadcast, I would tell you to go back and watch it. And if you haven't seen the last race of this week, go back and watch that as well. But I think really this championship has seen the beginning of Dylan McClements, and we might see a bit of a legacy here with Dylan. We might see a bit of a domination over the next couple of seasons. Hopefully, not a total domination, but this may be the Max Verstappen Abu Dhabi. Or as we said with Lewis Hamilton finishing sixth in Interlagos, going on to win 7 championships, it could happen again. But for a 14-year-old to finish top of the standings, it's been an absolutely incredible season. It has been Dylan McClement's season. But I'm going to head off. If you're involved in the league, do get into the chat. Enjoy the awards night. They're great crack. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Do remember, subscribe to us, give us a like. Even just commenting and chatting to us really helps in terms of getting the word out there. Have a great couple of weeks. We'll see you all straight back here at Sao Paulo on the 4th of February. But until then, stay safe and slán go fóill.